listening to John Santos, the radio on the Strong Island Radio Network. And now here's your host of the number one radio show on this network in this time slot on Mondays, your host, John Santos. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to John Santos, the radio, episode 26. I am very lucky to have with me tonight as my special guest co-host. Please welcome...
Mo Vida.
I've got Mo Vida on my show. This is unprecedented.
This is great. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. How are you?
I'm well. Living the dream.
Now, you have dual citizenship between New York and Colorado. Is that right?
So to speak, yes.
So to speak.
I like how you put that. That means you recognize how very different those two places are.
They're very different. I've never been to Denver. I've always wanted to go to Colorado. Yeah, it looks great. Almost got to go there on a business trip once, but it didn't work out, unfortunately. I was very disappointed because it would have been my first time there. But I got to get out there. I'll get out there at some point. Now, you come back to New York quite frequently, correct?
I was, yeah. I was actually last year running a monthly show in Brooklyn. And we had some proceeds that were going to a STEM program in Philly. So supporting a program for kids to go and learn coding. And it was a really good program. We put, I think, like 10 kids through the program with our donations. We got them a corporate sponsor who got them computers and stuff. Yeah, so it was a tremendous endeavor that I'm really proud of. I did it with my friend Chandra Daniels, and truth be told, she's the powerhouse producer behind that. But knowing the comics in New York, I worked a lot on booking the talent. So it was a great experience. Yeah. So I was out there about once a month.
Now, just to tell you how big Mo is, when Mo comes into New York, New York Air National Guard F-16s escort the plane through New York airspace. They intercept the plane like somewhere over New Jersey or Pennsylvania, someplace, depending on what airline, and they escort the plane all the way into Kennedy Airport all the time.
And every word of that is true.
Every word of that is true. Red carpets are, you know she's coming in because they bring big red carpets out to the airport.
I can't even get into the Delta Lounge, but let's go with your version.
They can't, that's crazy. Like, you're like a big celebrity. I hate that. Like, I was at an airport one time and they drove Al Roker on this cart all the way to the gate. Well, how come they're not driving me to the gate? Why am I?
It's ridiculous.
Like, what are the levels of celebrity that,
Maybe because he's a weatherman, they think that he can, do a rain
Make
dance. Yeah, exactly. Mess up their flight patterns.
I love the Seinfeld episode when his agent or his manager or somebody's like, Jerry, like she's talking to him like he's an idiot. Like, when you get to the airport, you go to the counter, you give them your name and they give you a ticket. Like, I think the more shows we do, the more successful we are, the stupider people think we are.
Well, I mean, the fact that there
dumber?
Are celebrity handlers, that is a job. That's a job. To handle a celebrity and kind of tell them, we have to go, and do you have to go potty? We'll work that in, and
before the flight.
It's crazy that there is a job that is a celebrity handler.
That's
so. I'm not there yet.
I was actually on a flight. I was coming back from Los Angeles, and I say it the Schwarzenegger way, California. And there's this guy, Paul Guilfoyle. He's like a character actor in a lot of movies. He was the president, Harrison Ford's chief of staff in Air Force One. So I see. Yeah, Google. Once you see him, he'll come right up. He was in 100 movies. He's like a big character actor. So I'm standing literally right next to him at the gate. He's on my flight, and I'm expecting him to be in. I walk through first class. He's not there. I walk through business class. He's not there. He's 2 rows in front of me back in steerage.
But doesn't that make you feel good? Like you're like, okay, even these people have to fly coach sometimes.
Yeah, their CFO
did
is
he at
as
least
cheap
get
as
an
mine.
exit aisle?
Yeah, well, he was in the aisle. No, not even an exit row. He was in a regular seat. It was
Row,
American, and or United. I forget one of the. And I'm like, oh, your CFO is as cheap as mine. So I said, it's not as good as Air Force One, though, huh? Because he was in Air Force One. He's like, it's all the same. Nice guy, really nice guy. I didn't want to bother him. I just said hello to him real quick, but
he probably was happy you recognized him and like knew he was, an actor and not somebody thinking that he's like their accountant.
Oh no, he was. Look, he's been in a lot of he was in The Negotiator. He's always in these like. You've seen him before,
I looked him up. That's that face, where you're just like, I've seen you in a million things, but I don't know what your name is, and I couldn't actually tell you which movie I've seen you in right now, but I've seen you in a lot. Yep,
he's been in a lot of shows. He's been on TV. Yeah, he's one of those guys that you see in like all the movies.
That's what I aspire to. I want the entertainment money. But I still want to be able to go out and eat and not be disturbed. Just have people kind of go, does she look familiar? Maybe. Oh, well, whatever. We'll continue eating. We'll leave her alone. That's what I want. That's the level of celebrity I aspire to.
Yes, just below being harassed, right? Just
yes. I just want the money.
I was in the Marshalls near my house, and this woman came up to me and she goes, Mr. Santo, I hate to bother you during your private time, but I saw you in a show a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to say I really loved your impressions. And I'm like, it's no need to apologize. You found me in the sock clearance section at Marshalls.
That's Murphy's Law, though. Like for us, like it feels so good to get recognized from a show, and then hopefully, whoever recognized you also thinks you did a great job. But then it's like Murphy's Law that you're going to be either in a place or in a situation that's like super awkward, and you're just kind of like, I had that happen at a wax center, European wax center. So yeah, I know. That's real fun to get recognized there. And I tell this story on stage, but it's the God's honest truth. I don't know why, but this particular person, like my wax girl, we would always talk about politics, which is super weird when you're like laid out on the table getting a Brazilian. But it was so weird. It was just like, she'd just rip the strip off and I'd be like, politics. It was very cathartic. But
that is a weird place to talk about that. Very weird.
I don't know why. And then that particular visit, she was asking me questions, and my parents are immigrants, and I was telling her about like communism and Hungary and all this other stuff. And so when we were wrapping up, she got, oh man, that was so, thank you. That was really interesting. And we step out to the desk, and then I see like these two women are talking, and I hear them, and I can kind of hear them saying like, oh, I think we saw her at Comedy Works. So they recognize me, and my wax girl turns to me, everybody can hear, gives me a big hug, and she's just like, thank you so much. That was so educational. And
oh, cool.
I can only imagine what these two women thought, because, like they're like, what was educational about what you were doing in there? Like, what did you show her that was educational?
That's funny.
So it's always a weird place to get recognized.
One of the audience members after a show, she asked all the comedians to sign something for her. I said, sure, we'll be happy to. And she gave us a cake plate, like a paper plate. And we all signed this paper plate. And I'm like, what is, so she cut around the edges to make it look like a piece of paper. Like, so it was like the middle part of a paper plate. Okay, this is a first. So I signed my name, and she's like, thank you for signing it so nicely. Some people just scribble it really fast. And I said, well, I learned from Arnold Palmer. Arnold Palmer said, if somebody asks for your autograph, he said, do it nicely, because that's their only interaction with you. And like those couple of seconds is important to them. Plus, I hardly ever get asked for my autograph, so I wanted to make it last a little longer. I've only signed like 3 times in 25 years, so that was a special moment. My every
awesome,
decade,
though.
it's like the census. It's like every 10 years I get asked for my autograph. So.
I haven't been asked. I've signed posters for shows that I've been on that the producer had, but I haven't been asked. I don't think. Maybe one person asked me to sign something.
Oh, you must have been asked a billion times. It's probably Vida merchandise all over the web.
I gotta figure out what would be good merch for me. You'll have to give me some pointers.
Well, you can give me some good pointers as what's good merch for me. I don't know.
I was thinking of doing a cougar koozie for like beers and stuff. That feels very on brand.
Well, Vicky Cooperman last week or the week before, last week, 2 weeks ago, I had her on the show. She was saying I should get on that. Oh God, what's the name of that website? I'm drawing a blank now. Where you do the videos, and I would do different celebrity voices.
Oh, Cameo. You would be great. You should 100% do that.
On that one, so 100%. I just started working on that. I got to do like I don't want to do me as a video. I want to do a picture of the celebrity I'm imitating, and then just the voice.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing like Como, I could be like, "How are you doing? We hope we're lowering the numbers." But I want the person's picture there, not mine.
You would do awesome because you are a comic. And so, I know a couple comics who do impressions, and, one of them was telling me it's not enough to be able to imitate a voice. You really need to have the material.
Yes.
And then what makes it funny is the fact that you're doing it in this person's voice. And so for you, the fact that you are a stand-up and you can think on your feet and you can come up with something very clever to say and then add the voice, you would, I think, do so well on that.
Thank you. I mean, I've had a lot of practice because I give all my friends a birthday thing every year.
I know. I love it when you send me your. Oh my God, that makes my day.
When is your birthday? When is your birthday?
It passed. It was April 4th.
What did I do this year? Remember? I don't remember.
I want to.
April 4th.
I know I've gotten Schwarzenegger.
Yep. Michael Caine. I've done Michael Caine. And I did Adam Sandler last year.
Was it Sandler? Or I thought maybe I got a Sopranos, but maybe I'm remembering.
You probably got a Sopranos. Yeah.
I love it. Those make my day.
Thank you. I try to keep them good. This year I started doing Como. Like, usually I do it for the whole year. Like at the beginning of the year, I say, what am I going to do this year for everybody? And I just do one. But I have some friends that are Republicans, some that are Democrats. So I try to stay clear of the presidents unless I know they really like one or the other. Like one of my friends, he goes, do Obama every year. I love when you do Obama. So I do Obama for him every year. So I try to do like I did Schwarzenegger this year. I got to think of like one I could do for the whole year this year. But people in New York,
because everybody knows who Cuomo. I know, and people have questions about Cuomo. Like Cuomo, he's kind of a superstar right now. The big one, the big Cuomo controversy. Are those nipples pierced, or is he just excited for COVID?
I am so excited to talk for 16 hours a day. And that's what I do. I talk for 16 hours. I used to say that those briefings are so long that by the time he's done with one, it's time to do the next one. Like he's got to just change his clothes. And
I was surprised he's not just like switching out Chris, like like one of those like telethons. Remember like the Jerry Lewis telethons? That's what those briefings are starting to feel like. Like, oh God, this is still on. Didn't we give enough money?
I did one. I did him as Darth Vader. I did Darth Como, and I did a video where I'm in the mask, and I'm like, I'm wearing a mask. And we've converted the Death Star to the Life Star. We're taking people from the planet and bringing them to the Life Star for treatment.
I love it.
It's the Tatooine virus. It's the Tatooine it affects the Jawas and the Sand People. So I do it like a Star Wars. I should have done it today. Today's a Star Wars anniversary, but I don't think ahead.
Are you a big Star Wars?
I'm a big Star Wars. Are you?
Yeah. I am. I mean, not to the extent, there's levels to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. Like one of my dating criteria is I won't date anybody who's too young to have seen the original. And by original, I mean the first one that came out, because I know you have to be careful with Star Wars. You can't say the original because they're like, well, technically,
Oh yeah. No, the original was the first one that came out in released order.
Yeah. So
I went to see. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, so that's my thing. Is like if you're too young to have seen that, then you're sorry. We can't date.
My friend had the flu, and I couldn't go with him, and I went to see Rogue One by myself. So I went to the theater in Levittown where I saw the original Star Wars when I was a kid. So I try to see as many of the Star Wars there. Yeah, I try. I mean, it's not even the same theater because now it's like a multiplex, but the same general location. I try to see as many of them there as I can. So I saw Rogue One there, and there was a couple sitting next to me that were like a lot younger than me, and I was like, "Oh wow! I finally saw the 5 minutes. I finally saw what took place 5 minutes before the Star Wars Episode 4. Princess Leia with the plans and everything." So they're like, "Oh my God, you saw the original? What was it like back then?" I'm like, "We're only talking, but back then, I felt like they were talking to George Washington,
It was uphill both ways coming to the theater, and it snowed all the time. And we actually had to run the film ourselves and try to watch it at the same time. It was rough, kids.
I remember when Dolby had no number. That's how far back I'll go. It wasn't Dolby 5.1. It was just Dolby.
I feel like depressed because there are these lists now of things that kids growing up today really won't have a concept of, like a wristwatch. A calculator, like everything's on your phone, right? So it's rotary phone. I mean, forget it, right?
The rotary. I'm like, my grandparents' phone number was 888-8808. That was their phone number. Could you imagine dialing that with a rotary phone?
I was going to say that sounds right. That sounds like an easy phone number, but on a rotary, that's a nightmare. First of all, it's far away.
Far.
It's one number. You got to start all over. You got to keep track of how many eights you're at.
I got halfway. I did the 0 and I got stuck. I had to start all over again. Yep.
But I mean, it was also better, right? Because there wasn't drunk texting. So, and you really had time to think about what you were going to say if you talked to that person while that rotary was going around.
I had the wire that went like 40 feet, so I could we only had the one phone in the kitchen on the wall.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to sit on the couch and talk to somebody, I had to make sure the cord was all the way extended,
Now, did you have, because people did it two ways. They either had the long cord that was from the wall to the phone and they moved the phone with them, or they had the really long between the wall and the receiver, which of course would always get really super wound up.
That's why you had to pull it. Yeah, you had to pull this. Yeah.
And then sometimes take it out and let it unwind.
That's the one I had. It stayed on the wall, but I could extend the receiver all the way to. But then if you wanted to call somebody else, you had to get up. You couldn't even hang up from there. You had to get up.
If your sibling wasn't paying attention, they'd get clotheslined if they didn't see that. Like,
well, the cable box too. The cable box had a wire. So if you were on the phone watching TV with the cable box, there were two ways to get tripped up there.
Yep. That's how hard our lives were, John. That's how difficult and hard it was. But then you think about like all the stuff that we've all the technological advances in our lifetime, and it's just like crazy. Well, I mean, we were talking about cell phones, right? I mean, I remember I had a beeper.
Yep.
Beepers first.
Beeper first.
Yep. And then cell phones. And then cell phones also the minutes weren't free. You know, I mean, technically they're not free now either, but there wasn't this like package deal. It was, you know, it's $1 a minute or whatever. So
I'm going only back to 2000, right? We're only talking 20 years. We're only talking 7 years before the iPhone. I had a beeper. I would tell my friend, beep me, and then I will figure out how to call you, because my first cell phone plan had 25 minutes.
Yep.
And I had that big Motorola phone. So I would like, if I had so I'm still trained to freak out as you're getting into the next minute, because I want to hang up. Like if I'm at 3 minutes 53 seconds into a call, I don't want it to go to 4
You want to go? That's hilarious.
I still live back in the time when it's like, oh, I'm coming up on another minute. You know, see ya. You know, click, hang up.
So my mom is 80, bless her heart. She is not into technology, doesn't understand it. She thinks Facebook is voodoo. But to this day, she'll call me, and if I don't pick up, all I have is a cell phone. I don't even have a house phone.
Yep.
She'll call my cell. I won't pick up, and then inevitably I'll get a voicemail that says, "Oh, Monica, okay, you are not picking up. You must not be at home." And I'm like, that's not how this works.
She's still doing the old machine.
Still does that, and then she still does the minutes, because she stopped doing that now. But like, she'll be like, she used to ask me, "Should I call you back? Should I call you back so that you're not using your minutes?" And I'm like, "Mom, it's fine. We're
there's
good."
unlimited. Yeah, I have everything is unlimited. You know why? Thank God I have unlimited text, because some of my friends, I have too many friends that can't put everything in one goddamn text. They got to text you, "Hey, what's going on?" I'll see, and it's like 5 texts. It's like if I didn't have unlimited text, you would have bankrupted me.
But some systems, they break them apart, because I've noticed that, like, I'll send a text and I'll just type it all up into one. Or my friend,
Right.
I've seen that on my phone where like I can tell it's one text because it'll say like,
that break, yes.
or what. So I think sometimes it's the system itself that does that. But
no, that's true. There are ones like that I think after 100 and whatever the characters is. I know what you're talking about, because it's like the next part of it is first.
But it never comes through next.
It comes through.
It's not like
reverse.
1 and 2. It's like 1 and 3, and then 2 is under 3, and I'm trying to like put it together like a puzzle piece. Like, what are they trying to tell me?
I'm the person that does this. What are you doing? Send. Tomorrow, send. Night. We're getting together. Send at PM. Like, I need the PM. No, we're getting together at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna have dinner at 8 in the morning. Like, I need the PM. And it's a separate text. That's so annoying.
I
Send
have
it in
a
one
friend.
text.
I have a friend, and I adore her, but I can tell when she's texting me just by the fact that my phone buzzes several times consecutively.
Yes.
I'm like, I know who's texting me right now, because it's
That's
5
scary.
messages.
They've got to have like a setting where, like, why can't you have a setting where it's like, stop any text from this guy, consolidate it into one, even if I get it 5 minutes later, I don't care. It's like,
right? I don't know.
Consolidate.
Something to work on.
I have a new movie idea. You ready? Can I run my movie idea by you?
Oh, would you please? I would love to hear it.
I'm going to make a movie about the COVID. It stars Al Pacino as Dr. Fauci.
Nice.
And the title is, "If You Can Smell the Scent of a Woman, You're Not Socially Distancing." And his briefing goes like something like, "The coronavirus started in Wuhan." Because Fauci almost sounds like Pacino. You know, it's like, wear a mask. Get that mask. I gotta wear a mask.
Look, I just like when he gets aggravated when maybe something is said that isn't actually scientifically found, and he's trying hard not to be like, y'all all idiots. But yeah, he does. He definitely sounds a
little like Pacino.
100%. Yeah.
But of course, I over-exaggerate
great.
everything. You know, somebody actually said that to me. They said, you know, when you do your impressions, you know, you do things that the people would never be in, and you overact. I'm like, oh my God, you figured me out. Holy shit. For 25 years I've been doing that.
But that's the
whole
point.
point. Like
That's what makes it funny.
Like my celebrity Viagra spokespeople. Like the presidents don't endorse Viagra. That's what made and Tony Soprano isn't the president. I reverse every. I reverse. Yes, that's what I do. It's my
Wait,
entire
didn't Bob Dole? I thought Bob Dole did. Didn't he
That's how I got the idea. I said, remember when Bob Dole was doing the Viagra commercials in the 90s? So I said, what if other politicians, and I don't do it anymore because it's dated. You're smart. You remember things. I would say, hey, Bob Dole is the Viagra spokesman. I
use the word smart instead of old, but go on.
You're a total genius. Mo is so smart.
That means so much coming from you, sir.
So I do a thing where I used to do Bob Dole when he held the pencil, and I would say Viagra turns this to this, So I did that back in like the 90s. But then I said, what if other presidents or politicians, and that's how I got into Obama's Viagra spokesman, Clinton, Bush, Trump.
Clinton needs to be brand ambassador.
These are no-brainers. These are
as a Monica, I can appreciate that. My 90s were shot. My 90s were shot as a Monica. It was game over for me.
I didn't even think of that. That was insensitive of me, and I apologize. Yes. But
blue dress.
Yeah, this whole thing would have ended if she had just gone to the goddamn cleaners.
Right.
I mean, who doesn't clean things? I clean things all the time. So my entire that Bob Dole bit gave me the idea to do like Casey Kasem, Adam Sandler, all the presidents as Viagra spokespeople.
I love it.
I've been doing it ever since.
I absolutely love it. It's perfect. Can't cure cancer, but we can sure make an 80-year-old man excited.
So in my, there was a big thing where they didn't want to pay for, women didn't want to pay for Viagra as a treatment because it was affecting only men, right? So I did Bernie Sanders, where I would say, first of all, Viagra should be free because it doesn't, erectile dysfunction doesn't just affect the 1%. It affects 100%. So.
Let me tell you something. It affects women too. not the way it affects men, but I'm as I get older and I'm dating men my age, I'm like, oh, okay. This is a more common thing in my life now.
Well, that's what I did with Trump, and I said, first of all, where do those erections go? They go into vaginas. Okay, so we're helping the women as well as the men. Okay, that's why everybody's got to pay for Viagra. It's women are coming up to me. They said, "Thank you, Mr. President. We've never been happier. It's unbelievable." It's a ridiculous premise, but that's why
I'm on board. I'm on board for it, though. I'm telling you. Listen. When I was younger, I used to kind of grumble too, and like, oh, really? This is where we're spending our research dollars, right. Is this really necessary? And now I'm like, oh no, you know what? It's definitely saving marriages, or it's allowing people to cheat, whichever. It's probably keeping people from getting into fights and other issues. So hopefully everybody's happy. Everyone's smiling.
Well, if the rich penises get erections, the poor penises deserve them too. That's why it should be free.
I would vote for that platform.
Thank you. It is like I do like Casey Kasem's Viagra spokesman, Adam Sandler. I sing a song. It's like it is a ridiculous premise, but that's the whole point.
Now, when you do Sandler, is it like a Happy Gilmore golf hole reference?
I'll do one verse. Oh, Viagra for you and Viagra for me. It can help you with a soft pee-pee.
I like that.
So it's almost like the Thanksgiving song, but from Viagra,
It's almost like a lullaby.
I haven't sang that song in months. It's been I haven't sang that since I was on stage last in February.
You're welcome. You're
Oh,
welcome. I bring the
thank
best
you.
out in people.
I
What can
just hope I
tell you?
remember my act. Are you worried about forgetting stuff when you go on stage? I'm a little like, oh my God, am I going to remember?
I honestly kind of got to the point where I hated all my material. But here's the thing that stinks about that. I also was doing better. I had gotten, and I hate this. I think it's a conundrum comics have, where when you're finally at a point where the material's hitting, you know how to do it, or you're gonna get that laugh almost every single time. By then, I'm like sick of it, and I'm like, God, I hate this joke. So I don't think I'll forget it, only because I've got like video and stuff like that, and I'll go back over it, and I've done it so many times. I think what, as with anything, like getting back on stage, it's gonna be the cadence. The other thing is I've done Zoom shows, and your timing has to be so different.
Oh, yes.
So it's I suspect that once I get on stage in front of a live audience, I'm going to probably step on, which I tend to do anyhow, but I'm going to step on laughs. Because you don't have that with Zoom shows, people,
right.
or it's a weird, because you hear like the first laugh, but then like somebody laughs a few seconds later.
Yep. And with the delay. Yeah.
It's just, it's been challenging, but I have new jokes that have to do with COVID, which I don't love, because of course everybody's going to have their hot take on COVID and,
right.
talk about that. But I talk more about, like having an immigrant mom and the fact that she has zero sympathy for anything that's going on, and just telling me tales of kind of the same thing. Like, when we grew up, we had no toilet paper. We use newspaper. If you go for walk in woods, you use leaf. This not toilet paper. Who are these dummies taking the toilet paper? Like, she just doesn't care about this at all. It's hilarious. So
tell me what you told me before when we were talking before on the phone before the show. Tell me what you were talking about your mom, how she would never tolerate this. It's like, how could these people? It's like, this is not a big deal compared to what she had to go through.
Yeah, well, so, she grew up in Eastern Europe after World War II. Communism had ended, and the first time I went out to the grocery store after all this happened, she's 80. So I said, I'm going to do the shopping for both of us. And I called her and I said, Mom, there's no toilet paper. There's nothing. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, it looks like the country you escaped from. We're back to those days. That's why, like, when people stand in line for iPhones and stuff that they can just go buy the next day online or in the store, I'm like, no, my parents escaped. They like put their lives in danger, so I don't stand in line for stuff. Like, that is, I can't do that. But yeah, she's hilarious though. She's been good about, not being overly tough and saying, oh, I don't believe this is happening. I don't think I have to be careful or whatever. But she's also very like, oh, these people, they are stupid. Everybody's stupid. Where I tell her something, she's like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah.
Well, it's funny because we have Carvels here, which, you remember Carvel when you're here, right? You don't have them out there, though, do you? You have them out there? No.
So I think that's a family business, isn't it?
It is, I think
like
so.
It's franchise, but yeah,
it's franchise, but it's mostly families. Yeah, it's not like Dairy Queen, which is bigger franchise. But so we have a thing. Wednesday is Sunday. So if you go on a Wednesday, if you buy a Sunday, you get one free. Right? If I don't go by 6:30 to get my kids Carvel, because you get to buy one get one by 7:00. Now this is before COVID. Right now it's even worse because you got to be 6 feet apart. It was like I've seen Red Cross food distribution centers after a disaster that were less busy than this Carvel. They line up like sometimes it takes a half hour to get your ice cream.
It's nuts. Well, I've seen that in New York, and I miss New York terribly, but I'm not going to lie. I'm glad I'm in Denver right now and not there, because the social distancing piece is really hard. Like, there's signs up at our grocery stores that say, you know, they're only going to let a certain amount of people in.
Right. Yeah, we have that too.
I have yet. Yeah, but you guys actually, that's an issue. Like, there are lines going around the block. I've never once been stopped or told I couldn't go in.
Right.
Like, you just walk
in the city. In the city, it's like, I live out on Long Island, but the city, it's worse. And I worked in the city for 17 years, and I'm glad I'm not in the city anymore. I'm working out of my house, but that is, I don't miss that at all.
But I laugh because it's like the same people who pre-COVID were like, I hate people, get out of my space. I don't, you know, I'm like, this is your dream come true. You just want to complain because this is your dream come true. This is exactly what you wish for. You want to take the subway with nobody on it, nobody groping you or their stank ass breath, you know, like, it's perfect.
Yeah, there are some weird people.
Happy. I mean, I'm frighteningly happy right now. I don't like to people. And that's really what I'm worried about, is when I have to go back out there and people and pretend.
Where in Brooklyn were you when you were here? What area of Brooklyn?
I lived in two places. So I lived in Park Slope. I lived in like the real Park Slope, and then I lived in what got kind of expanded to Park Slope so they could charge more money. But I was near Barclays Center. And then I finally moved up to Sunset Park, which, if you don't know, Sunset Park is between basically Park Slope and Bay Ridge. Mm-hmm. So like along 4th Avenue. So. Okay.
Yeah, I was in, so I went to the Barclay a couple of times because I used to work down on Wall Street. So I used to take the train.
Super easy.
Yeah, I'd take the 2 or the 3 into Brooklyn. What is that?
Atlantic
Terminal.
Yeah.
And then I would, and sometimes I would miss the train. I'd have to hang. So I go upstairs. I look at the Barclay. There's the mall, and then I get on my train and go back to the island. But then I worked at Metrotech for a little while too.
Oh yeah.
In that area, so that's kind of that's like 2 stops after Barclay.
Barclay was going up when I lived essentially across the street, because I was on Bergen. It was going up. Like, there were all these protests. Like, people didn't want it built. And I have to tell you, when they said it was done, I was like, it's not done. It's completely rusted. Look at all this. It's rusted. And I didn't realize that was the look they were going for.
That's what they wanted, yeah. That's a weird place. Do you know that a little bit of baseball history, that is where they wanted to build the new home for the Brooklyn Dodgers? They wanted to move to right where the Barclay is now, because the owner said, I have all the subways right there. The Long Island Railroad is there. Everybody could come there. And Ebbets Field 2, they wanted to call it Ebbets Field 2, would have been built right there. So that idiot Robert Moses was like, no, you're going to Queens. Why they had to build a baseball stadium there, which is now the Mets' home, because of the stupid World's Fair, which was one stupid year before I was even born. I don't know why the stadium had to be part of that. Like, to have the World's Fair, what do you need?
I'm gonna guess money.
Probably something. Yeah, he was a jerk, Robert Moses. I hate that man. I've seen him on Nick at Night. He was a jerk to the reporter. Anyway, they were going to build Ebbets Field 2 there. It was like 40-something years before anything ever got built there, 50 years. I'm like, that's what they did with the land for 50 years? It was that dysfunctional? Yeah. And then the Dodgers owner said, screw you, we're going. That's why they moved to Los Angeles.
Right. Well, you know, it's funny. I actually was talking about baseball and sports, New York sports, with somebody from Boston, and then a person who was, I don't know, from the Midwest. And like the minute the girl said, oh, I'm from Boston, I'm like, the sports rivalry. And the guy who was from the Midwest had no idea. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. And I didn't understand when I first moved to New York. Like, there's no, you're either a Mets fan or you're a Yankees fan. You're Jets or Giants. Like, there's no, you're Islanders or your Rangers. And people are out of town when they're like, I just want the New York team to win. I'm like, no. But the funny thing is, my ex-husband, he's the reason I moved to New York, huge Mets fan. Like, so much so that we had to flip off the Yankees stadium as we drove by it to get up to Westchester. Like that was, and it just became like an unsaid thing in the car. Like we'd be having a conversation and then just naturally like both our fingers would kind of go up and we'd keep talking like, you know, but here's the thing. So, you know, the Mets, their junior team is in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And they're the Brooklyn Cyclones.
Yep.
So we lived in Brooklyn. We went out, we watched a few games, and I got a hat, a Brooklyn Cyclones hat, but it said BC on it. Yep, so one day I'm walking through my neighborhood in Brooklyn and these two guys pass by me and I hear them. And the one guy goes, "Oh, screw her. Should we spit on her? She's wearing a Boston hat."
Oh, and I just, no.
And but like, he was like, they were ready to spit on me. And
let me see that. I think it is the B is similar.
I turned around, I said, "Hey," and I didn't use nice words. And I was basically like, "You guys are super stupid." I'm like, if you're going to be that into a New York team, you should probably know who, you know, their minor league is. I was like, this is a Brooklyn Cyclones hat, dummies.
Oh my gosh. And you know what's funny?
They were fully ready.
B looks like the Boston B, the same font almost. The the Cyclones now with the new what they're doing, they might be that's their single A team. That might be their double A team after this is all. They might. But I did a thing where I was in Penn Station. I'm in my Met stuff, and these guys were going to the Met game. They were from Washington. They had national stuff on. And the guy goes, "Oh, look at the Met fan over here." And I'm like, now I'm nice to the fans from the other teams. But when they're like that in my town, so I went into Paulie Walnuts from the Sopranos. They said, "Hey, I think you two guys made a wrong turn at the Washington Monument. You're 200 miles off course. You know, this is my friggin' town, you know." So he was like, "Oh, no, sorry, no."
I know. It's like you do realize you're in Penn Station, right?
Yeah, this is Pennsylvania Station. This is not
where you want to start talking trash.
Not Union Station, right? But I'm very nice. Like when I'm sitting with fans from the other team, and they're like, "Oh, we're thinking about getting this to eat." I'm like, "Oh, wait, you want pizza? Center field. That guy's the best. You want a steak sandwich? Pat LaFrieda. He's on the promenade level and also in center field to the left of the pizza." Like I'm directing people everywhere. But Manos and Corona, that's the best. Yeah, I try to be a nice guy. I want them to go back to wherever they're from and say, "Oh my God, the New York fans are amazing." You know, we met this guy. He told us where the sandwiches were. And, you know.
Well, so I have to tell you, a few years back when the Broncos were playing the Pats for the AFC championship, right? So I got to go to the game, and having lived in the Northeast, I know how much people dislike the Pats fans, Bruins fans. Like, you know, there's thing about, there's a thing about Boston fans. And unfortunately, part of the reason that people don't like them is because they don't tend to be very nice and they tend to be kind of trash talky, etc. So anyhow, so my girlfriend and I go. She's not really a big football fan, but it was her birthday, and I was like, you know, this is a neat experience. Can I take you for your birthday? I'm into it. And Broncos fans are very nice. They're huge fans of their team, but they're positive. Like they're not gonna, you know, get on anybody if you're rooting for the other team. There's one kid there who was a Pats fan, stinking drunk. And I mean, it was early in the game, stinking drunk, mouthing off. By the time I paid attention to him, he was getting kicked out. He had a bloody nose because somebody had socked him. And again, I'm telling you, like, that's not usual for Broncos fans. And they're escorting him out. And as they're escorting him, he kind of hits the landing and turns back around to get in that last word. And he just, you know, expletives and screw the Broncos and da-da-da. And everybody's just silently like watching, like, "We would like to watch the game. Could you please get him out of here?"
Exactly, right.
I lost it. I went full on New York on him. I was like, "This is why everybody hates you guys." And like, expletive, go back to where you came from. You suck. Da-da-da. My friend looked like then I calmed down. I look at my friend. She was mortified.
Right.
And everybody's looking at me like, what was that about? And the guy and I, we had our exchange. 3 huge dudes standing behind me, all Pats fans, are looking at me. They're all looking at me, and I look up at them, and I turn around, look up at them, and they all look away really quickly like, we don't want anything to do with this lady.
Yeah, tickets are too expensive.
They're like, yep, we don't want to get kicked out. She's going to tell us off. She's New York. We're going to keep silent.
What is a ticket run out there for a Denver game? Actually, what's the name of the stadium now? It used to be Sports Authority Field, but they went out of business. So what's the stadium name and what is it?
Well,
what is the
they
ticket run
always
there?
kept Mile High. I'm trying to think. I have to look who bought it. But they've always kept Mile High in the name. Thankfully, that was a really big thing for us because we're just like, Mile High City, Mile High Stadium. The tradition. But I don't go that often. I know that
it's got to be less than here.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure
it is.
I mean, just like a regular ticket is probably, I don't know. I mean, it depends where you sit too, but it's affordable. Those tickets. So at the time I had a friend who worked for the Broncos. No, well, see, this is what people don't understand. I mean, it's not like that anymore. Like there's a whole ticketing system, and if they don't have the seats filled in, they want them filled in. So they will sell the ticket. So what I was able to do for that is get them at face value, which,
nice.
Like I bought them a day or two before when they released them to the employees, and I bought them from her for face. It was a few $100 for sure.
So they have a problem filling the stadium? Like in New York, the games are so like Giants. They're always sold out, and Jets always pretty much sold out. Like when I go to, I am one of those weird people I go to Jet and Giant games. The Giants, like,
which are you a fan? Are you a fan of both teams?
Yeah, I have 2 sets of everything. One time I went to a game, September 11th, 2011. It was like the Giants are playing at 4:25, the Jets at 8:20. So I'm in my Giant gear. And my cousin calls me up and goes, I have an extra ticket for tonight's game. You want to go? I went home. I won the woman into another outfit. So Giants gear off, Jet gear on, and in the car we go to MetLife.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
I switched my, you know why? Because I grew up with 2 sets of friends that had tickets to the games. And I used to go to games all the time. And sometimes I went to Giants, sometimes I went to Jets. So I grew up like football season's so short that even if I watch every Jet and Giant game, it's April of a baseball season, which is 32 games. So it's like it's
you're
small.
a bigger baseball fan, right? Like that's
bigger baseball fan. Yeah, baseball's my big yeah. But in the fall, like usually I'm not wearing Met gear in the fall because they usually don't make it into the fall. So I usually start to change my closets from Mets to Jets, Giants around September, October-ish. I leave a couple of Met things available just in case, but I do my transition.
I love how that's your seasonal closet change out. Women are like, I've got to get my boots and my turtlenecks and my sweaters. You're like, yeah, sports.
Yep, I got to get my.
That's amazing, though. Yeah, I mean, we do. Like Broncos, the stadium's pretty full, but I mean, look, Denver's not as big, obviously, as the tri-state. So
right. Yeah, but still, like you would think that it would, because there's so many. I mean, Broncos fans are pretty passionate. When I went to Green Bay, I saw 3 Volkswagen. Unless I saw the same one 3 times, I saw 3 Volkswagen Beetles painted like the helmet. Like the whole car was a Green Bay. Looked like the helmet. I'm like, oh my God, these people are serious,
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think that people were bigger fans. People were huge fans when Elway obviously was quarterback. Yep. And in fact, it's funny you say about the car, because there used to be a house that was right near these 2 highways that came together, and they had painted their entire house blue and orange Broncos colors very specifically. So that was always like, yep, that's that house. But I don't know. It gets expensive. I think that's part of it. When the team isn't playing well, people don't love the quarterback, whatever. They probably, and then they had a whole thing with season tickets. I think they changed vendors and stuff like that. So, but I mean, the stadium is still pretty full. I just think, it's not New York.
Well, it's hard. I have to schlep all the way across 2 bridges to get to a game. I only go to like one a year. My friend was he was in from Dallas, up from Florida. He's a Cowboys fan. He ran the marathon, New York City Marathon, in November.
Yeah.
The next day was Monday Night Football. I'd never been to a Monday Night Football game. And the next day, Monday Night Football was the Cowboys were playing the Giants. He goes, "Oh, can your cousin, can I buy your cousin's tickets?" My cousin had already traded his tickets for Stones concert, so those were gone. So I said, "Well, go on Ticketmaster. I'll buy tickets. Don't worry." And we went, and that was the game where the black cat ran across the field.
Oh yeah,
at the game. I was at that game. Yeah,
oh,
so
wow.
with him, and of course the Cowboys beat the Giants, so that car ride home sucked. But it's a pain in the ass.
I only went then because you were visiting.
That's right. That's the only. I knew the Giants weren't gonna. I was like, oh great, if the Giants don't win this game, I'm screwed because I got to schlep.
Well, I was
home.
excited when we my 2 teams. So I'm a Giants fan and I'm a Broncos fan, and we had the Mannings. Like that was great for me. I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, we've got 2. Well, at that time, 2 great quarterbacks. Eli, unfortunately.
Do you listen to Mike Francesa? Do you ever listen to Francesa?
I used to. Yeah, I used to.
I just started doing him recently. So
that's great.
When Eli Manning got benched for Geno Smith, I was like, we're like, what the hell? And he's like, so he goes, I don't believe that the Giants, the New York Football Giants, have benched the 2-time Super Bowl MVP for Geno Smith. And he like, really? And he just like goes on a tangent. He's like, well, Geno Smith gives us the best chance to win. You said that with a straight face. Like he just goes off. But he loves the Mannings. He loves Eli, loves Peyton. He knows Archie really well.
Archie, yeah.
That's my jersey. That's what I wear. I wear Eli Manning and Victor Cruz. Those are my 2 jerseys.
Oh, Cruz is great. Yeah. I mean, they're an amazing football family. They're good people, I think. Because that's the other thing. You have athletes who are good athletes. Mm-hmm. But if we're being really honest, like they're just not marketable outside and off the field. Right, and you look at, it's hilarious because Peyton Manning is certainly not somebody you would describe as a good looking man. But he's so phenomenally charismatic and funny. And, he's got these ads now that he's I'm sure making a ton of money off of. And it's funny because Eli, of course, unfortunately doesn't have that same charisma. But, they seem like good people too. They're easy to like. And I think with us, I don't love Elway, but the way that some people do, but Elway's God in Denver. That's just how it is.
Did you ever see the SNL episode with Peyton Manning teaching the kids to play football?
Yes.
And they're like, spend time with your children, or Peyton Manning will. He's like, all right, I want you to do a cut route over here, and I want you to go straight down the sideline. And he throws the ball and hits the kid in the back of the head hard. He's like, what the hell's the matter with you, Jeremy? You suck. I told you specifically what route to run. And they're like, spend time with your kids, or Peyton Manning will.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, he has a sense of humor about himself, too. Mm-hmm. Like, you can put him in an ad or a skit for that matter. And he'll make fun of himself just as much as anybody else. But he
yells at guys on the sideline a lot. That's where I think they got that from. He's like, "What the hell you guys doing? I told you to run." And it was the same with the kids, But it was hilarious.
I went to a Bronco game. It was a preseason, and it was when we had Sanchez for like that one split moment in time. We had Mark Sanchez. See, you don't even remember.
He was. I still have my Sanchez jersey because I was in a Jets commercial with the Sanchez jersey. You guys said, yes, you did it.
For like, here's the thing. He
for
was
like a
already,
week.
he was already injured and on the sideline at this preseason game that I went to. And of course, again, showing my New York colors, I'm like, this is why the Jets stink.
Yep, it's true.
It's
The
like,
Jets.
why do we have you?
He was with the Denver Broncos in 2016. Yeah, holy cow. Yeah, he went to the Eagles. He went to the Cowboys, the Bears, and the Redskins. Oh, Denver Broncos. He was off season and or practice squad member in 2016. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. I'm glad because I'm telling you, I saw him at that game. I was like, oh, this season's gonna stink. But then he left.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, we're almost coming to the end of the show.
That's so sad for me.
It blew by very quick. Well, we'll have you back. It's not sad. We'll have you back.
I miss you.
I miss you too. I haven't seen you in 5 years.
I know. I haven't aged a bit, right?
Not a bit. In fact, you're going backwards. I think you're going back.
Absolutely. Yes.
I've always suspected that you were a time traveler. I was like, she's not really. Wait, she's younger now than she was 5 years ago? What the hell's going on?
She says she's Hungarian, but really she's a Highlander. There can only be one.
Yeah. Wait, what'd you say? The Wi-Fi put out on me. What did you say there?
I said that. What is the Highlander? Where he's like, there can only be one.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know
You don't know that character?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm a big fan of the Terminator movies, so I know that time travel is possible. I've gone back many times into the past.
Arnold is in. You're into Mr. Schwarzenegger. What's up with the horses eating at your kitchen table?
I love it. The donkey is there. The horses are there. I love it. And I'm such a big fan of his that when I do a Terminator parody movie, I'm changing my name to Jonald Santo. That's what I'm going to do with my name. It's going to be Jonald Santo. He's going to be fantastic in this movie. You know, I love Arnold.
So well.
Thank you.
He's fun.
He's
a little kooky. He's losing it maybe a little bit with the animals in the house, but I'm on board. I'm ready to watch.
That is my choice for president. A Schwarzenegger presidency for me is comedy gold. Because there's so much I can, like if there's hostages, when do we leave? No, sir, you don't go on the missions. Bullshit. I'm going on the mission. Like he'd be perfect. That would be the best president. It's like the unemployment numbers, they're not fantastic. We're going to make them more fantastic. You know?
This is not out of the realm of reality these days. So, you know, I mean, we had Reagan. Wasn't the gopher from Love Boat? He was a senator or congressman or something. What's his face? Al Franken. I mean, you know,
it's not beyond the realm of possibility. And Stallone could be the Secretary of Defense. So yeah, we'll go with it. We're gonna beat these guys and get the hostages back. You know?
Listen, I'd be on board for that.
Me too. It'd be like 80s movie meets reality.
That's all I've been doing is watching 80s movies and just trying to like relive my youth and pretend like everything's okay.
The 80s was the best decade. What's your favorite? We'll wrap up with your favorite 80s movies.
So I was a really big John Hughes fan. So probably anything John Hughes, whether it's from his comedies to, you know, I was still kind of in my teenage years. So the angsty, Pretty in Pink genre and Breakfast Club.
16 Candles, great. The Donger,
huge.
classic.
Yeah. Well, 16 so I think out of that whole thing, probably 16 Candles was the best. I always like to probably watch movies that are not as run-of-the-mill. So my favorite is Some Kind of Wonderful, which a lot of people haven't even heard of. But he was great. I mean, I think he captured the 80s really well. Yeah. So anything John Hughes, probably.
Mine will always be like the Star Wars, the Star Treks, those movies. But Top Gun, of course. I'm doing a Top Gun parody with Bernie Sanders is going to be Viper.
Hilarious. Okay.
Como is Iceman and Trump is Maverick.
I can't wait.
And Bloomberg is Goose. that's
Talk to me,
gonna,
Goose.
that's Maverick. We have planes. They're dead ahead. So that we're gonna have Maverick. Bloomberg
Are
is
you going to do
Goose.
a little Spanish in there too?
El Airplano Vector 200.
Maverick, you are too close to the aeropuerto.
Don't do a flyby of the tower, Maverick. It's against the regulations. But Como is going to be Iceman, and he's going to be. Remember the dogfight at the end?
Yeah.
When Iceman he's like, they shot down my wingman, and I'm up there by myself, and I need federal assistance. So I said, Mustang, this is Voodoo 1. We're totally defensive. Watch the alert fighters. They said one fighter. What am I going to do with one fighter? There's 6 MiGs. One fighter. So that's going to be a blast.
I want to see that.
I'm going to make that. That's coming out this. I have the airplanes around here somewhere for the making of it. But yeah, we're going to do that soon. Well, anything else you want to tell the audience? Like your website? You want to do any promo? Anything that you can tell us?
Yeah, thanks. I can be found on the social media channels at Mocha Vida, which is MOKAVIDA. I just started an IG Live every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, where I interview friends. So, John. But it's fun. It's I call it 7 minutes in quarantine. I'm probably going to change it to 7 minutes with Mo. And they're just quick 7-minute. Yeah, they're 7-minute interviews with my friends. And I have a lot of interesting, obviously, comic friends, musicians, all that kind of stuff. So that's on Instagram, Wednesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. All right, cool.
Yeah.
11 p.m. Eastern, which is what time in Denver?
9.
9 p.m. Denver. Awesome.
Yeah.
We like to be time zone sensitive.
I know. I figured, I was like, I'm just going to put it out there as 11 p.m. Eastern, and then everybody can do the math.
Everybody, exactly. Let them do the math. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was great to see you again, even though it was from thousands of miles away.
Oh, my God. This was so awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And you're a riot, so it was a lot of fun.
Thank you. It was a blast. Hopefully, we'll work together in person someday soon.
I hope so. You come out here. You come here, okay?
Definitely. I've always wanted to go to Denver. It's fantastic. And not far from California. It's not far. Well, thanks again for coming on. And we'll have you on again soon. This is a lot of fun. You're a great guest. And co-host. I don't even know my own terms.
I was a guest in my mind, but thank you so
special
much.
Guest co-host. We want everybody to
I'm
feel
definitely special.
It's very special. Well, thanks again, and Mr. Producer, what should I say at the end?
Say goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. Thank you for tuning into the radio. Thank you to my special co-host, Mo Vida, and my producer, Mr. Producer Bobby. Thank you all for listening again. Happy Memorial Day. Thanks for tuning into the radio.